Hello and welcome to another session of Informally Formal. We have with us Professor Imran Rahman, and our today's topic is industry and academia relationship. I will dive into my very first question, Imran, with you, and tell me, why do you think industry is so unhappy with the academia?
Well, I have a lot of friends and ex-colleagues from industry, and they're continuously saying that they're not getting the graduates coming in from universities with the right sort of skills that they are looking for. So there's some mismatch, employability skills, you can say these are soft skills, whatever. So they're saying they come with good academic degrees, high CGPAs, but they don't have what I need, in terms of the skill set which I need in an organization. So there is some kind of a mismatch here in terms of expectations from the industry point of view and understanding of the faculty and the university administration of how should they prepare their graduates for the real world, for the career world, or even how should they prepare students so that they can start their own business and other things.
So vice versa then. Tell me, the academia doesn't seem to be very happy with the business world either.
Well, actually, by and large, I would say it's not equal. I know the industry is not happy with the graduates coming out, but academia, by and large, are clueless, right? They're clueless. Those who know a bit, they probably say that, okay, yeah, but why isn't industry coming in, and helping us, talking to us, helping us design our curriculum? Why isn't industry investing in us, right? In terms of research, because research also has a big component, of course, in terms of making students, the critical thinking part of it. So that's basically, so each side is kind of blaming each other for not coming forward. So that's been the situation. But by and large, I would say that, universities have really not thought about the importance of employability skills or soft skills that their graduates should have. In a good university, in a good, in the West, in some other country, if I just take the extreme example of let's say US. Remember in the US, before a student even enters the university, he's already entering with a certain set of soft skills that is picked up, a certain mindset, a certain critical thinking ability. He's already picked that up, a lot of it from home, by the way, and from the parents. And the others is from the schools and medium school, high school, etc., etc. Now, the average student here is not getting that benefit. So the universities have a huge task of making up for these lost opportunities. And within the 4 years of our undergraduate, they have to somehow get their graduates, skill set at least close to what is the expectation of the corporate world.
Imran, going back to our meat of our discussion today, which is industry and academia, the collaboration that ought to happen, that happens in Western world countries where industry is, by and far the greatest contributor to funds for the academia. Their alumni are more than happy to endow the university with funds. Why is that lacking in Bangladesh?
Well, let me break it up. I mean, let's talk about research first, university-based research. If you look at the USA or Europe, a lot of the research funding comes from government or quasi-government institutions. For example, in America, a lot of the technical research funding comes from the military establishment. Industry has, gives sometimes, particularly if industry has their own research and development, they will sometimes fork it out. It makes it meaningful for them to fork it out to a university rather than trying to do everything themselves, right? So these kind of things. You see, in Bangladesh, how many industrial houses actually do their own R&D? You ask them, how many? Very little, right? So that is a bit of a structural problem. And whatever government hasn't really realized that universities are not just teaching places. They should be some of the creators of new indigenous knowledge. So if you want to create new knowledge, there has to be investment in it. The government hasn't really, they treat universities as just teaching places. And Namka Vaste, in the name of kind of research funding, they will give some piddly amount of money, which will come through the UGC. But these are really, the whole process of giving that money is not very good. I think a lot of it is not going to where it should be. And what is meant by research, again, there's a kind of, I think there's a very confusion. What is research? Now, as I sometimes tell my business school faculty, look, if you spend your time and you write a paper on the stock market development of Sweden, what good is it to Bangladesh? Who will read that piece of paper or that article? You will read it, your wife, and and then it will be lying, gathering dust on your shelf. All that effort you made to write that article, wouldn't it be better that you wrote it or you did the research on something, on an issue that could actually be of some use to Bangladesh, right? So that's also very important to what is research. Too often, research bolte, these are publications on peripheral subjects. These are kind of, I don't know how useful they are, and it's just for the promotion aspect of the teaching. So, I mean, at ULAB, we are looking at research very differently. That part is there, which has to be there. Individual faculty will do research and publications for the promotion and other things. That is something which is the market kind of given. But we are also creating separate research centers there, because we are putting in some of our own money there. We are saying, hey, by the way, if you're doing research on sustainable development, if you're doing research on entrepreneurship, the output must be usable. Yes, you will get a paper out of it, an international peer-reviewed paper. Of course, you'll get it out of it. But also the topic and the outcome must be of some use to society. So that's also very important. So unfortunately, what we see is that even though we have such good research centers, the local funding is almost zero, right? We write some brilliant papers, which I share to all my corporate leader friends and students. They all love it. But if I ask, hey, why don't you put in some money? If you like it, support us, give us a chair. Okay, I think, there's not this whole culture is not there. And it's not made easy by the fact that if a corporate or an industry gives money to us, they should get something out of it as well. They should get a tax break, for example, right? So government can help this way by allowing a tax break on any endowments that industry or companies give it to industry.
Very good point. We need to figure out a bridge whereby academic institutions and businesses get to communicate, and the educational institutions must understand what the business is looking for, as opposed to the kind of peer-reviewed article that your faculty wants to write or get acclaimed in some foreign journal. I could care less. Imran, please, your thoughts.
No, hang on. You didn't let me finish. Actually, I only said one part of the fact.
I'm sorry.
In fact, the second part, which I didn't say, is basically, Jay, where, I'm not putting on the hat of a business or industrial house. They'll think that, where is your track record of research? You're asking me to put in money. So where is your track record? What have you done? Where are your patents? What have you done really that gives me hope that, or gives me that, whatever I put in, I'll get something meaningful out of it. There is very little. So I understand the point. I'll give you a simple example. And I'll talk about engineering. I find it very odd that, engineering students in their last term, they have to do kind of like a project. I find it very odd that why aren't you doing a project in some kind of a, engineering company, software company, go there, work on a real life project and do something. Instead of writing these theses, academic thesis, So what's the point of writing thesis? These are just regurgitation of existing knowledge. What's the point? Why don't you just do something, some real work, so that the output is also some kind of a real, this is the mindset. And I say that, don't your students want jobs? Right? Are they all going to do a master's immediately and they're all going to do in academia? Don't they want real work? Where are they going to get a chance to work on real life things? So a kind of mindset about it. So that is the thing to me. That the corporate is going to then tell me, where is your track record? Right? তোমাদের প্রোগ্রামে তো আমি কিছুই দেখছি না যে these are all, by the way, academic journals are important, no less.
Sure.
Those are important, okay?
Sure.
But point is that that is important for the individual teacher. But as a whole institution, they have to also contribute towards research which is meaningful and whose output comes to use to industry or society or something like that. By and large, the problem is ours. Let me just initially say, I believe the problem has been with universities. Think about Dhaka University, which was famous for being a research university. It produced some luminaries in the early 30s, 40s. Ki Satyam Bose time.
Yes.
Think of where it has plummeted from being a teaching and research university of equal merit now to simply a teaching university, except for a few departments which are doing good research. But by and large, it is just a teaching university. Right? Even a institute of research doesn't do any research. So it's just offering new bachelor's courses. So we've let that decline over the last several decades. And now we are asked to now revive the importance of research. It's not easy. It's like a juggernaut that you have to slowly now trying to do a U-turn with it, right? ULAB is doing it. We are, I would say, reasonably successful. BRAC University is quite good in research. Some of the private universities are doing quite well, but very few. It's not easy. And we are all doing it with our own money initially. And then, like BRAC, we are now starting to get foreign grants. If we get our act together, if we have a meaningful research agenda, which is also meaningful to the industry, I believe that they will come to us.
In my discussions with business leaders, that why don't we have more internships? Why don't we have more training at actual business houses where whether they are business school kids or engineering or what have you, so they get more hands-on as to how the practical world runs. Okay, now that's one. The second part that you were discussing is research. My point here is, yes, for the most part, educational institutions in Bangladesh are teaching institutions, okay? In order for us to graduate, and as you know, that we have this goal of becoming a middle-income country by either 2021 or 2024, and then 2041, developed economy. Now, as you know, economies transition from agrarian economy to small manufacturing, then heavy manufacturing, and then knowledge-based economy. In order for us to ever achieve that goal, Imran, we need to have fundamental research. Educational institutions and stuff have to evolve to a degree that just simply we're not even anywhere near that in order for us to turn ourselves into a research-based knowledge economy.
Yeah, no, quite right. We are not there, but it's starting. Slowly it's starting, but we have a long way to go. In Bangladesh, most of our academics do not know how to incorporate these practical aspects in their academia. Actually, organizations as well need to be trained how to use interns, how to make the most of these things. I'm a big believer in apprenticeship as well. which is slightly different. Apprenticeship is like, they're actually working, they're almost like a part-time junior employee. Interns are pretty much like, bottom of the food chain, they're just left to make the tea. And so by and large, that is the case. So we are still trying to figure out how are we going to get industry into my classroom. Just inviting somebody from industry for a 2-hour lecture is not going to cut it. Okay, it's not going to cut it. It has to be ingrained in our curriculum.
What I would like to see is business houses opening up their purse for educational institutions. And for that to happen, I believe for that to happen, we need to have some targeted and meaningful dialogues. Educational institutions are very lacking in understanding the needs of the business.
The industry academia gap is very large, okay? But at least there is a realization amongst particularly academicians that this gap has to be narrowed. Because the way we are teaching, the way we are producing graduates, they're going out there, they're jobless degree holders, okay? And the reason is that they do not have a set of skills that is demanded by the industry. At the end of the day, it is true that industry is not happy with the skill set of their graduates. This is true. And it is up to us to work with industry to kind of figure out, okay, what are these skill sets and how can we actually put them, include them in our taught programs so that, industry will be at least be happy that they are getting students with some basic skill set that they can use. You see, what is happening is that also you forget that in Western countries, companies have their own training programs. Right? They invest in their own in-house training programs. So, for example, a big company would recruit people from various ports. Then they would put them through. They would invest in a 3 to 6 month training program to get them trained. This kind of investment is very rare in Bangladesh. So industry, from their part, expect absolutely complete, ready-made, industry-ready graduates, which is kind of not happening. So so these are some of the issues here. But we do need to. I mean, I would hope all my colleagues in academia would actually make it a priority to find ways of reaching out and working with industry in whatever capacity. This is absolutely one of the most important things which need to be done.
Absolutely, Imran, you're absolutely right. First and foremost is to recognize, like you said, that there is a problem that we need to address, that there is a problem, there is a gap. And with that realization, hopefully the work would come where there is more closer cooperation between industry and the academia. And ultimately, after all, they are your industry is the consumer, right? They're the ones that are going to employ your graduates. So they have to be, one way or another, they have to be catered to in terms of what their needs are. So the fact that the realization is there, Imran, that gives me hope. So I guess with those final words, then let's wrap it up. And of course, with an invitation to bring you back again so we can discuss, there's so much to cover. With that, I thank my audience for joining us for this very important session and hope that you would join us again for our next session. I leave you here. Be safe and bye-bye.